In Leviticus, chapters 4 through 6, we find profound lessons on atonement and restitution, offering spiritual depth and moral guidance. Chapter 4 teaches about sin offerings for unintentional sins, highlighting God's provision for forgiveness. Chapter 5 extends this to include various unintentional transgressions, emphasizing confession and atonement. In Chapter 6, the focus shifts to the requirements for guilt offerings and the sanctity of offerings, underscoring the seriousness of sin and the sacredness of God's commands. As you reflect on these chapters, consider how they reveal a God who makes provision for sin, yet maintains the sanctity of His laws. Do you approach God's grace as a gift that forgives and transforms you? Lord, in your wisdom, you have provided a way for us to be reconciled to you. Help us to understand the depth of our need and the greatness of your grace. Glory be to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, it is now, and will be forever. Amen. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Leviticus chapter 4. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, If anyone sins unintentionally in any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and does any one of them, if the anointed priest sins so as to bring guilt on the people, then let him offer for his sin which he has sinned a young bull without defect to Yahweh for a sin offering. He shall bring the bull to the door of the tent of meeting before Yahweh, and he shall lay his hand on the bull's head and kill the bull before Yahweh. The anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood and bring it to the tent of meeting. The priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before Yahweh in front of the veil of the sanctuary. The priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of sweet incense before Yahweh, which is in the tent of meeting, and he shall pour out all the blood of the bull at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of meeting. He shall take all the fat of the bull of the sin offering off of it, the fat that covers the innards, and all the fat that is on the innards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the loins, and the cover on the liver, with the kidneys, he shall take away, as it is taken off of the bull of the sacrifice of peace offerings. The priest shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering, but the bull's skin, and all its flesh, with its head, and with its legs, its innards, and its dung, even the whole bull shall he carry forth outside the camp to a clean place, where the ashes are poured out, and burn it on wood with fire. Where the ashes are poured out, it shall be burned. If the whole congregation of Israel sins unintentionally, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and are guilty, when the sin, which they have sinned against it, is known, then the assembly shall offer a young bull for a sin offering, and bring it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before Yahweh, and the bull shall be killed before Yahweh. The anointed priest shall bring some of the bull's blood to the tent of meeting, and the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahweh before the veil. He shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar which is before Yahweh, that is in the tent of meeting, and he shall pour out all the blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of meeting. He shall take all its fat from it and burn it on the altar. Thus shall he do with the bull. As he did with the bull of the sin offering, so shall he do with this. and the priest shall make atonement for them, and they will be forgiven. He shall carry the bull outside the camp, and burn it as he burned the first bull. It is the sin offering for the assembly. When a ruler sins, and unwittingly does any one of all the things which Yahweh his God has commanded not to be done, and is guilty, if his sin in which he has sinned is made known to him, he shall bring for his offering a goat, a male without defect. He shall lay his hand on the head of the goat, and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before Yahweh. It is a sin offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and he shall pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering. All its fat he shall burn on the altar, like the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin, and he will be forgiven. If any one of the common people sins unwittingly, in doing any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and is guilty, if his sin, which he has sinned, is made known to him, then he shall bring for his offering a goat, a female without defect, for his sin which he has sinned. He shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and kill the sin offering in the place of burnt offering. The priest shall take some of its blood with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all its blood at the base of the altar. He shall take away all its fat, as the fat is taken away from off the sacrifice of peace offerings, and the priest shall burn it on the altar for a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and he will be forgiven. If he brings a lamb as his offering for a sin offering, he shall bring a female without defect. He shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and kill it for a sin offering in the place where they kill the burnt offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out all the blood at the base of the altar. He shall take away all its fat, as the fat of the lamb is taken away from the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall burn them on the altar, on the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. And the priest shall make atonement for his sin that he has committed, and it will be forgiven him. Leviticus chapter 5. If anyone sins in that he hears a public adjuration to testify, and though he is a witness, whether he has seen or known, if he doesn't report it, then he shall bear his iniquity. Or if anyone touches any unclean thing, whether it is the carcass of an unclean animal, or the carcass of unclean livestock, or the carcass of unclean creeping things, and it is hidden from him, and he is unclean, then he shall be guilty. Or if he touches the uncleanness of man, whatever his uncleanness is with which he is unclean, and it is hidden from him, when he knows of it, then he shall be guilty. Or if anyone swears rashly with his lips to do evil or to do good, whatever it is that a man might utter rashly with an oath, and it is hidden from him, when he knows of it, then he shall be guilty of one of these. It shall be, when he is guilty of one of these, he shall confess that in which he has sinned, and he shall bring his trespass offering to Yahweh for his sin which he has sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb or a goat, for a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin. If he can't afford a lamb, then he shall bring his trespass offering for that in which he has sinned, 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to Yahweh, one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. He shall bring them to the priest, who shall first offer the one which is for the sin offering, and wring off its head from its neck, but shall not sever it completely. He shall sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar. and the rest of the blood shall be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. He shall offer the second for a burnt offering, according to the ordinance, and the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin which he has sinned, and he shall be forgiven. But if he can't afford 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then he shall bring as his offering for that in which he has sinned the 10th part of an ephah of fine flour for a sin offering. He shall put no oil on it, neither shall he put any frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. He shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take his handful of it as its memorial, and burn it on the altar, on the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. It is a sin offering. The priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin, that he has sinned in any of these things, and he shall be forgiven. The rest shall be the priest's, as the meal offering. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, If anyone commits a trespass, and sins unwittingly in the holy things of Yahweh, then he shall bring his trespass offering to Yahweh, a ram without blemish from the flock, according to your estimation in silver by shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for a trespass offering. He shall make restitution for that which he has done wrong in the holy thing, and shall add a 5th part to it, and give it to the priest. The priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering, and he will be forgiven. If anyone sins and does any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, though he didn't know it, yet he is guilty and shall bear his iniquity, he shall bring a ram without blemish from the flock, according to your estimation, for a trespass offering to the priest, and the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his ignorance in which he erred and didn't know it, and he will be forgiven. It is a trespass offering. He is certainly guilty before Yahweh. Leviticus chapter 6. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, If anyone sins and commits a trespass against Yahweh, and deals falsely with his neighbor in a matter of deposit, or of bargain, or of robbery, or has oppressed his neighbor, or has found that which was lost, and dealt falsely therein, and swearing to a lie, in any of all these things that a man does, sinning therein, then it shall be, if he has sinned and is guilty, he shall restore that which he took by robbery, or the thing which he has gotten by oppression, or the deposit which was committed to him, or the lost thing which he found, or anything about which he has sworn falsely. He shall restore it in full, and shall add a 5th part more to it. He shall give it to him to whom it belongs, in the day of his being found guilty. He shall bring his trespass offering to Yahweh, a ram without blemish from the flock, according to your estimation, for a trespass offering to the priest. The priest shall make atonement for him before Yahweh, and he will be forgiven concerning whatever he does to become guilty. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Command Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the law of the burnt offering. The burnt offering shall be on the hearth on the altar all night until the morning, and the fire of the altar shall be kept burning on it. The priest shall put on his linen garment, and he shall put on his linen trousers on his body, and take up the ashes to which the fire has consumed the burnt offering on the altar, and he shall put them beside the altar. He shall take off his garments, and put on other garments, and carry the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning on it. It shall not go out. And the priest shall burn wood on it every morning. And he shall lay the burnt offering in order upon it, and shall burn on it the fat of the peace offerings. The fire shall be kept burning continually on the altar. It shall not go out. This is the law of the meal offering. The sons of Aaron shall offer it before Yahweh, before the altar. He shall take from it his handful of the fine flour of the meal offering, and of its oil, and all the frankincense which is on the meal offering, and shall burn it on the altar for a sweet aroma, as its memorial to Yahweh. That which is left of it, Aaron and his sons shall eat. It shall be eaten without yeast in a holy place. They shall eat it in the court of the tent of meeting. It shall not be baked with yeast. I have given it as their portion of my offerings made by fire. It is most holy, as the sin offering and as the trespass offering. Every male among the children of Aaron shall eat of it, as their portion forever throughout your generations, from the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. Whoever touches them shall be holy. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, This is the offering of Aaron and of his sons, which they shall offer to Yahweh in the day when he is anointed. The 10th part of an ephah of fine flour, for a meal offering perpetually, half of it in the morning, and half of it in the evening. It shall be made with oil on a griddle. When it is soaked, you shall bring it in. You shall present the meal offering in baked pieces for a sweet aroma to Yahweh. The priest who is anointed in his place from among his sons shall offer it. By a statute forever it shall be wholly burned to Yahweh. Every meal offering of a priest shall be wholly burned. It shall not be eaten. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the law of the sin offering. In the place where the burnt offering is killed, the sin offering shall be killed before Yahweh. It is most holy. The priest who offers it for sin shall eat it. It shall be eaten in a holy place, in the court of the tent of meeting. Whatever shall touch its flesh shall be holy. When there is sprinkled of its blood on any garment, you shall wash that on which it was sprinkled in a holy place. But the earthen vessel in which it is boiled shall be broken. If it is boiled in a bronze vessel, it shall be scoured and rinsed in water. Every male among the priests shall eat of it. It is most holy. No sin offering, of which any of the blood is brought into the tent of meeting to make atonement in the holy place, shall be eaten. It shall be burned with fire.